All right, so let's start counting the ways that this is about to get very interesting. Portland, Oregon just had a breaking news story that I think all of you saw. The riot squad has walked. Now, there was a part of my mind that I had said, you know, this is definitely going to happen someplace. The minute they prosecute an officer for arresting a rioter. And so the beautiful part that I want people to really understand, because this is pure schadenfreude now. Portland deserves what they're about to get. The schadenfreude part of this is the sun finally went down at about 9 o'clock last night. So that means it's light here until about 9:30, 9:40. Let's see, is it, because it's, am I correct? It's going to be July 22nd, right? Is St. John's Day of sorts, as the high summer point, midsummer. I have to take a look. I always want to say it's July 22nd, but yes. So this means that now that the nights are the longest they're going to be for a while, going to be exceedingly warm. Now there's no riot squad to stop the riots. And Portland doesn't have enough police to even provide fundamental services any longer, day or night. Portland's going to get what it deserves. Every blue enclave is getting what it deserves. And it really needs to be understood how the do-gooders, the feminists, the socialists, the progressives, one of the things that's most important about this now is more and more this is going to continue. They won't not prosecute police. They're going to try to prosecute police for simple arrests and then the police will walk. This is the first. This is only the first, and the fact that it's Portland. So these cops have been taking it on the chin the whole time. They've even watched the power structure humiliate them. The power structure is trying to humiliate police, and now the best thing that all police can do is walk. Just fucking walk. Show them that you actually are not wimps. Make them understand that they are. Make the do-gooders understand they're wimps, and that without you, they will be living in hell. And the minute this is understood by the criminal class, which is now like a thing. Now there is an organized criminal class that believes and is encouraged to allow tacitly and with the support of social media networks, organizes riots and organizes assaults on people. Organizes targeted political attacks on reporters, people's houses, people's family members. So the beauty of this is, now the MGTOW approach, the red pill approach, is showing that it will work. This is just the first stage. And also, now one of the best things that I've been thinking about too, the do-gooders, it's all in their hands. So really, what it is that there will never be a point at which the white liberals were right. There's nothing about what they've said or done that's correct. Colin Flaherty simply did what a reporter should do. He had the evidence, he had the crime reports, he had the victim surveys, but as long as it was a black person doing the crime, the victim survey didn't matter to the white liberals, the progressives, and the socialists, and the communists. And so now, you all are going to get what you deserve. And the federal government is trying to gin up new hate crime kind of legislation and stuff like that. And no Republican will be allowed to go along with it, or they'll lose their seat. And really now, what Republicans have to do, straight up and down, is discuss when are we going to prosecute black people who kill black people. Because this isn't a large number of them. This is one of the most important things that the GOP will not say out loud. When are we going to finally deal with the only demographic that is a crime problem? Criminal black American males. They're the only group that is a consistent violence problem. You don't have a consistent violence problem with white males toward one another, with white males toward any other group. We have the absolute data on blacks killing blacks. And that's it. And nothing else will matter. All the do-gooders and make-believers and socialists and inferiors, really, are going to keep pretending. All you got to do is pretend the criminals aren't there. And they can't see you. And now the beauty of it is their enclaves are going to collapse. And beyond just the police walking out, now a lot of these enclaves are going to have the problem of, oh, because you are liberals and you don't have a long tradition of, at least having one book in the house that you know is in every house. I'll let everybody pop that in. What book do you think he's talking about? Liberals don't have it in their house. It's like clickbait. This book is in no liberal's house. No liberals own this book. Buy it now. The liberals are afraid of having this book. Because knowing about the tall pines of Lebanon, knowing about the stonework of Tyre, these are things that there is a book consistently in conservatives' houses that would tell you about it. Liberals don't have that, so they need school. But, that's not working. They don't have the money right now. They don't have the tax money to fund their extremely poorly run school districts. People don't get, like in Oregon, they have had this infiltration because there's too many relatively conservative Oregonians who are super nice, and that these people will teach in schools like out in the hinterland, and they're just good people. They really aren't the problem. But then there's all these people who are definitely they're just party girls who became school teachers, and until they get married and have their own kids, which in an inordinate number, I'll see all these women who graduate in all these other degrees, but it's the school teachers who, within about 5 years of them becoming a school teacher, are preggers. And then they get to take a couple years off. Sweet. So it's a great deal if you could be born with a vagina, and have all the world's powers throw money at you so you could get a college degree and then work for the state, so that you're constantly a net cost, because no matter what you pay in taxes, that money came out of the public coffers in the first place. So, and you're not building wealth because you don't make a product, and it's not quite a service that we can't guarantee the quality of the service. And that's showing through, because we don't have a generation of youth who can adapt to the fundamental norms of a workplace, not the workplace. You don't have people who could use adult grammar. They can't. There's too many who cannot handle a workplace. And Aaron Clary, this pops up with Aaron Clary all the time, of why are you using so many words? This has popped up so much when at first I thought it was just a little bit of an oddity with millennials at a certain point. Then I thought maybe it's a regional thing. Maybe in other parts of the country they use fewer words, but it was Aaron who really made me see no, these are now almost 30-year-old or beyond people, and they're still using 10 words for one, and waxing biographical in ways that aren't necessary, talking about their own psyche in a way that's not really necessary. Sometimes I could understand it, when somebody's explaining their psyche, but when they're trying to ask a question about what career should I go into, it's like, oh, you all weren't in a workforce where there were veterans and women who had married veterans who understood, use fewer words. Use the correct words and use few of them. And also, that's no longer a part of the art of rhetoric or writing for millennials, and that's why their writing is so terrible when it comes to entertainment. and specifically entertainment, that we really have sort of taken on these exceedingly low quality entertainers as exemplar of millennial talent. And so one of the things I started to think about with do-goodery and the shit progressives is hydroxychloroquine and zinc were widely available. WHO actually wanted them to be available. It's a common treatment against malarial and febrile diseases. Zinc and hydroxychloroquine. Like to the point where really it turns out that the WHO actually tries to make sure that these generic medications, these generic benign medications, can be accessed by almost any country on the planet. So people there were plenty of stockpiles of this. The hatred of Trump led to the progressives, the liberals, the socialists, all these fucking pieces of fucking dirt, making sure the police can't protect ethnic minorities. They covered up rape in the big cities so as to try to make this some issue that had to do with white supremacy or white culture, when overwhelmingly what we end up finding out, even from the admission of black people who obviously kind of hate white people, that if we were to test more rape kits and prosecute more rapists, it would mostly be black men. So this is now at the stage that the do-gooders, the socialists, the progressives have completely undone every goal that they could have wanted. And they have to desperately now actually cleave to the Pentagon, cleave to the 6 major broadcasters, because all the 6 major broadcasters are basically cool with the gay. And that's it. Abortion and gay. And that's all that matters now. It doesn't matter if lives are lost. It doesn't matter how inaccurate Hey, what's going on? Oh, cool. All right. One of the guys from back in the day, mutton chop skinhead, when we were at the ska shows, and his like daughter zipped by. He like stops for a second. She keeps going. He's like, I'm going to have fun. Dad, where are you? And so, yeah. See, there's still so much good in the world. And really this takes an accurate measure. And what people have gone along with is inaccurate measures, and it's because they took on a set of ideals that were more important than observantia. So what we actually see is this fascinating sort of embracing of the great sin of pride. Like, to the point that it's almost at the stage that you could clearly see why it is a biblical level admonition about pride. That pride makes you not observe things. It makes you behave only in your own interests. And that now we're seeing that that's the key thing about it, is interest rather than observation. That we're not dealing with people on the left of center, Democrats, the whammons, the socialists and feminists, especially people who are making up stuff about gender stuff. The people, basically a lot of the gender thing. This is the thing, is when you're around like, sexually licentious people, you realize a lot of this is so people can have sex with young people. It really is. It's just that they don't want to admit that because they know how creepy it is. And it's that there's all these young ladies who they would never do this or that with this kind of man. But then when you're raised, or then when you live around like some blue enclave, you actually see, oh no, they will do that. It's just they need a group, it has some kind of status symbol. Hold on. Now this is something that I really mostly know from just dealing quite personally with like the ex-girlfriend who was kind of hippy dippy, like hippie punk rock girl, and so just one of those things. I was like, that I, encountered kind of people that she knew that was kind of like their scene. And of course, in Portland. And so it was just observing, because I was older. So I was observing people my age while I had this younger girlfriend. And I was like, huh, okay, so this is how you know these people. This is, okay, so this is like some really weird kind of gross scene of nerds. Like, this is like band and theater nerds trying to become swingers in their adult years, or and so yeah. And it was just one of those things I thought was just very interesting, just this, and that sort of this weirdo game. A lot of you have seen this, like with SJWs, the whole thing, like Riley, what's the tranny who thinks everybody should be down to date him. That's popular on YouTube. People like that. It's weirdo game. People are kind of too odd, or just there was once an actor who said, I'm weird looking enough that I could always be a cop or a mobster. That these are people who are weird enough looking that, for as long as they kind of festoon themselves in a way that is like a costume, you don't really see how weird they are. If there's something that they're over the top about in some way, you don't really pick out how weird they are being, in a way, until you realize, like, wait a second, why are you so over the top into that? Why do you wear these things all the time? Why are you into this ideology or that ideology? Or why are you into pervert sex? Why are you into ugly people having pervert sex? Or maybe not. I mean, who knows? You guys are just all weirdos flirting with each other. And years after that, I started to really kind of, my ear to the ground, started to find out, oh yeah, and people like that, the tattooed, piercings, oh, they go to burlesque night, oh, they're into roller derby, yeah, and they got the herp. And they pass around the fucking herp. And to the point where I've seen all, like, women who I knew have the herp and had a kid. I'm like, holy crap, dude. People here who are like, well, I take my medicine. Oh my God, bitch, you got the herp. Thinking that somebody's supposed to marry her and fucking have children with her. I mean, I've had too many of these conversations. Women who literally, they're like a train station, how many fucking men have run through them. Their tattoos and piercings and whackness. And so the whole thing about something like the Trump administration is the Trump administration was suddenly this image of a normal person who became, of a relatively normal white American who became extremely successful. But then it was beyond that. It was that, no, this is a rather extraordinary person. And they became successful and maintained success. And for a lot of people, that their game, they have the low-level game, they're weirdos. A real key thing about the Pacific Northwest is being a weirdo. Not being a little eclectic, but just eventually being fucking weird. And it's this idea that, oh, I'm being iconoclastic against the system by supporting a movement that has led to black people being murdered, riots, and is a part of actually what a lot of people don't get, because the accuracy is the bailiwick of the right now, that nobody really wants to deal with. This is also a movement that fundamentally was founded on about 15 years of altering crime reports, altering prosecutions, and prosecutorial protocols, so that you wouldn't, quote unquote, criminalize people. So not that somebody committed a crime and there's a victim and they should be punished. No, you are criminalizing them for their behavior. which admittedly is bad, but because that's what the left is about, the butthole, shitholes, and the butt. And that's all that really matters. I mean, like, even in popular culture, like Matt Forney was one of the people who pointed this out. They're absolutely fascinated with the anus and the buttocks, and that they have to talk about it a lot. Now, one of the and so now, this is the beautiful part: is observantia is on this is the bailiwick of the right. And what will slowly, but not that slowly, it's going to turn around, because as soon as people have to make fucking money, all of this shit on the left is going to suddenly get trounced. The real money, people who really can make it happen, they're who makes industries actually operate, is going to drop all this shit. All this, we need to make sure people can express themselves. No, you got to do the fucking job. You got to get the fucking job done. One of the things about Summit Northwest Properties is, while he wants to believe, oh yeah, people go back to the office, maybe. This is a maybe. Not if people think that they can be beaten up in the streets of a city, that there's lawlessness. That's going to be people who want to have their expressions and their feelings understood. And it's the men will go in begrudgingly because, well, I've gotta, but the women won't. It won't be safe. And this is only going to go further. All of these cities, because their attorneys general are was it central planning leftists who were pushed into they were funded fundamentally by international non-governmental organizations, do-goodery, and basically non-profiteers. The beauty of this is that by the end of it, the liberals will have nothing to stand by. The Democrats will have nothing to stand by. This isn't like the 70s. This isn't like the 40s. There's an internet. And no matter what Google wants to do, the future of the internet, because of technological efficiency, is having decentralized nodes of information and many, many, many data pools. And competition is the way that all nature works. All flowers and plants are in competition with one another, and they get in where they fit in. And now it's really starting to show that all this is what exactly the MGTOW people and all that inevitably what would happen if we kept up the pressure informationally. There'd be too many people, and they would finally say, fuck these people, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Like the Kevin Samuels sample. Fuck this shit, I'm out. And so, article, I've been posting a lot of this to the Discord, the clandestine sodality. So there was even an article, still, people are fleeing California and Texas, and when they flee, they start voting red. And like Edward Dutton was saying, there's an inevitability, because all things in nature have to compete against one another. It's a competition for reproduction. People aren't getting, liberal women, one, aren't that interested in reproduction. Two, many liberal women and Trump-hating hoes are broken. They're like genetically broken. They're women who would have probably died early in life. They would have, 100 years ago, or 115, 120 years ago, they would have died earlier. Or they would have just simply, knowing that they were so frail and incapable, society would have figured out a way of marrying them off to somebody who could take care of them, an average man. So these exceedingly, liberal America has a lot of women who are average and below, the average, mediocre, and below average, like a lot. Like a lot. And they need, the kind of the fake degree from college. They need all these things. You know, they could rip them off because they're kids of middle class people who've gained wealth. So the enclaves that are blue will always have to demand a lot of medical benefits. This is actually killing blue enclaves. They have to provide tremendous medical benefits. They also have to constantly keep taxes higher and higher and higher for all these amenities of living in such a place. Now, that can only keep going. Uh-oh, there's a bee. And that can only keep going if you have real manufacture in an area, because that's wealth building. Button key pressing, things like that can be wealth building, but it doesn't matter unless you have real products and real services that are absolutely demonstrable. You know, that this is a shelter. You know, you could put a lot of money into software. It could be ingenious software, and it doesn't mean that it's marketed well enough for somebody to use it. You build a shelter, and at some point, somebody's probably going to occupy it. You make a thing. At some point, it's very likely somebody's going to find a use for that thing, especially if it just happens to be a thing that is useful. Well, so without manufacture, men, a job for men, that's really what it is. Without jobs for men, and without respect for jobs that men, and pretty much men alone, do, blue enclaves will die. But the first stage that they've chosen is now that not only will they die, not only will these blue enclaves die, but they're going to die like mega death. They want mega die. They want mega death, mega die off. And there's just not going to be a way around it, because okay. Oh, totally. Oh yeah, you got to see this. This thing's cool.
A lot of nasty dust.
That's an Archimoto. That's made here in Eugene, Oregon.
You can rent them now, you know.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, behind Ninkasi, $17 an hour.
I'll keep that in mind. So behind Ninkasi Brewery, you could rent an Archimoto vehicle. And so, hey, what's happening? So I highly recommend doing so. I'm pretty sure that was Leland, the ultimate drummer. I think that's who just ran past me. He looked like Leland. That was weird. Leland was one of the best punk rock drummers this town's ever seen, next to, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting. I know it was one of the Cowman brothers from Pirate Radio. Pirate Radio was an incredible punk rock group here in Eugene, Oregon. Yeah. So that's one of those things that I just had to put out there, that the sort of the stories that are showing mounting summer disaster are starting to really, really build up. And I just really want people to understand now that if this isn't even like, don't lose hope, blah, blah, blah. No. Just get ready for shit to be bad. I mean, you're going to be sitting back going, why are these people tolerating this? And in Portland, that's already happening. Like thousands and thousands of people, like in comments every day on all of these articles, you see that they're just like, why are we tolerating this? How is this happening here? And there's always some kind of like do-gooder, some limp wrist, some milquetoast, who's like, but, and some butt worshiper. That's always butt worshipers. Liberal shit-lib butt worshipers. They're always worshiping butt. Doesn't matter if what you're saying, Colin Flaherty, is accurate, but because you see, black people have to rape. Liberals understand they can't not commit crimes. So if you punish them, they'll then be criminals. See, just like how when doctors say, look at those genitals, this is that gender, one of two. And then when somebody commits crime, they get prosecuted, they would be a criminal. This is observing something, not fucking inventing something about them. You're not criminalizing them, you're not assigning a gender. It's called observantia. There's just basically a generation that are illiterate and inferior. And they've been raised by do-gooders and people who are half-wits and lazy. And that's it. I mean, like, I've really had to keep in mind how rough some aspects of my upbringing were, in that I was never allowed to mispronounce words. My language was guarded very, very closely. What I did was watched closely. I thought I was free to do what I wanted all the time. No, I was being watched much more closely. And it just took me time, because I'm like, yeah, I got corrected on this or that word all the time. Well, they must have been paying attention to what I was saying then. Which, of course, is also evidence that my parents weren't negligent. At least my dad. My mom was definitely one of those black women who thought it was about her, primarily. My mother's behavior was definitely self-centered. Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So I just wanted to put that out there, that Portland is about to, I mean, really, like, Portland Andy is about to make fucking money. Portland Andy, I know, loves rodeo, but oh boy, homie, you're about to make hella money. You're about to drink like a mofo, dude. You might want to get. Don't put Portland Andy in the hospital, because you see, if he ends up in the hospital, who knows what will happen then with all the other people who will be in the fucking hospital because of all the riots and murder that the Democrats and white liberals, shitlibs, communists, and racist minorities are causing to happen in Portland. All right, later.